pandas library, and then we are going to see how to analyze the data sets. So the data structures that under Python are lists, dictionaries, sets, tuples, right? These are all the fundamental data structures available under Python. But if you want to work with, say, open data sets, in such cases, you can have, you may have to work with libraries like, data structures like series and data frames, right? Series are one-dimensional, they are like one-dimensional arrays, and data frames are like two-dimensional or multi-dimensional arrays, where you have rows and columns in the form of m by n, so that you can get the number of rows as say data points in the data set, and number of columns as features of the data points. Okay, so features of the data points help us to understand what are the attributes under which the data is captured. I'll just share the notebook screen. I have already sent you this Movie Lens database, I think. If not, you just tell me. I'll send it once again today after the class. So how do we understand about this pandas library? It's a Python library for data analysis, and it offers a number of data exploration, cleaning, and transformation operations that are critical in working with data in Python. So when you are trying to analyze any data, first you have to process it, pre-process. Otherwise, it will go according to a principle called as garbage in, garbage out. So if you feed unclean data, feed some unprocessed data which has some missing values or unreliable values or erroneous values that are captured. In such cases, the garbage or the errors that are embedded in the data, they will be also seen in the output. Garbage in, garbage out. Okay, so you have to completely pre-process, clean the data, transform the data if required. Sometimes, as you in big data analytics, if the data scale is too high, say some attribute data is between 1 and 10 values, and some data is between 1 and 1 crore. In such cases, the data is not in a comparable scale, right? In such cases, you to first bring them to a nominal scale and then start processing the data. You can't take the data as it is, right? So in some cases, you may have to transform the data so that you bring it into a manageable scale by performing some transformation operations in order to bring them to dealable boundaries, right? So Pandas is built upon NumPy and SciPy, Scientific Python, providing easy to use structures and data manipulation functions with integrated indexing. All the indexing and operations we perform through indexing, everything is available in this Pandas. Pandas library. Now the main data structures Pandas provides are series and data frames. Are you able to see this notebook, students? Are you able to see this notebook?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So the main data structures under Pandas are these series and data frames. Now, after a brief introduction to these two data structures and how to perform this data ingestion, the key features of Pandas, we are going to cover in this notebook are generating descriptive statistics on data. What are these descriptive statistics? If you want to do some preliminary investigation about the data, if you want to understand the characteristics of the data, if you want to understand the spread of the data, if you want to understand with how much deviation the data has variance within it. In such cases, first you have to understand the properties. You have to do some preliminary investigation in order to understand the characteristics of the data, right? So for that you have to generate descriptive statistics on the data that is available, and data cleaning using built-in pandas, and frequent data operations for subsetting, filtering, insertion, deletion, and aggregation of the data. And also you can perform merging multiple data sets using data frames, and also working with timestamps and time series data. This is very crucial because most of the times when data is being captured, data will be captured with a timestamp which is not interpretable. You can't interpret the data very well, right? The timestamp will be some calculation in milliseconds, captured right from 1971 January 1. Right, from that time till that particular data point is captured, what is the milliseconds lapse that will be taken as a timestamp, but that is not very meaningful in order to perform some analysis. Now, how to convert the timestamp into a meaningful date, time, so you can base your queries on that data that you're going to see under working with timestamps and time series data. And just clear all the outputs so that I can put some questions to you once you understand the concept. Okay, now in order to work with pandas, you have to use this command, import pandas. Import pandas will bring the functions under this pandas library, but we just give it an alias name so that we can use it more easily. Typing the entire name, we just give it as PD. So you're giving import pandas as PD. Right. Now let us see what are the data structures we have in pandas. In pandas, we have two main data structures, series and data frames. Now under this series, how to understand the data structure. In order to start with a bare understanding, you can consider it as one-dimensional array, but with indexing available. You can have, in arrays, you have index of numbers, right? A of 0, you have some element, B of 0, you have some element, B of 1, you have some element. But in series, you have data, observe this carefully. Along with it, the indexing is also available in the form of key value pairs again. So if you take Tom as the key, you will get if you take Tom as the index, you will get 100 as its data value. If you take Bob as the key, then you get FO as its index value. If you take Nancy, you get the index value as 300. Data value as 300. Right? That is how you create a series in pandas. For that, you have to use pd.series. Right? pd.series will help you to create series in pandas. Now, if you execute this, a series will be created and that will be stored in this SCR. Okay, now when you click this, when you execute this and print SCR, you can see how the data is created. This is a one-dimensional series which has index with these keys, Tom, Bob, Nancy, and its corresponding values. In one-dimensional arrays, you have index numbers as keys, right? 0, 1, 2, 3. But we have a facility here in series to add some key values, like some names, or you can take a number itself being treated as a string. Anything you can take as the key value here, index value, right? So this is the series that is created. Did you understand this clearly? Index will represent this first column, and data values will be represented by the second column. And you can observe this is also is treated as an object. In Python, every data type is treated as a class and every variable of the data type is treated as an object. Right? Now, if you want to get only the index values, you can give ser dot index. When you execute this, you can see here Tom, Bob, Nancy, Dan, Eric. Only the index values are printed. Now, if you want to get the values in the index locations Nancy and Bob, you can just give ser, that is the series name, dot location. This is a very useful tool in order to get specific location data. Now, if you want to get the data at the location Nancy and Bob, how can you do that? Just give it under location, but be aware of these double index. You have to provide double index for location. If you are accessing a single value, you can access it by just mentioning ser in the single brackets. You can give Nancy, then you will get a single value. But if you want to get location specific value along with the index and its data value, then you have to use ser dot loc Nancy and Bob. That will print you the index along with its data value. Right? Now, if you want to get some values at these index numbers 4, 3, and 1, that is also possible. You can directly give the index numbers because Pandas will assign default index numbers internally. So if you take 4, what is 4 here in this series? 0, Tom starts at 0, Bob at 1, Nancy at 2, Dan at 3, and Eric at 4. Did you notice? So this, Eric will be printed for this index number 4, and Dan will be printed for the index number 3, and Bob will be printed for index number 1. So this is another way of getting the key value pairs by using index numbers which are not seen in the series but are assigned internally, right? So you can use this command ser in place of this command, right? Both can be used interchangeably. Now, if you want to get a value at an index location, then you have to use I location. ser dot I location and whatever is available at that index number. So when we give ser dot I location, what is available at index number 2? The exact value at that index number 2. So what is available at index number 2? 0, 1, 2, Nancy, right? This is available at index number 2. Now in this index, what is the value in the key value pair? 300. So that 300 will be printed here. Got it? ser dot I location will fetch the value, data value at an index location. Notice the difference between LOC and ILOC. LOC will fetch the key value pairs, whereas ILOC will take the index number and get the data value at that index number. Now, if you want to see whether a key is existing in a particular series, then you can use the clause in. You already know the usage of this clause in. Bob in SCR. It will give true if Bob is a key that exists in this series. If it doesn't exist, then it gives false. Now, because Bob is available in this series, it gives true. When you just print and apply a string operation here. See here, we are using a multiplication operation and multiplying the series with 2. Then what will happen? That operation will be applied to the data values in the series. Understand this carefully. When you apply some mathematical operation on a series, that operation will be applied to the data values in the series. So when you execute this, you can notice 100 is a numerical value, so it is multiplied by 2 to become 200. Whereas FO is a string value, and if you replicate it by 2, then it will print the string 2 times. Okay, you know how multiplication operation acts with a string as well as numerical value, right? If it is a numerical value, it will be evaluated. If it is a string value, it will be replicated according to the multiplication or number that is taken. Now, if you take this raised to the power of 2, another operation, raised to the power of 2, but observe here, we are trying to apply that operation to selected key values. You are not going to apply that operation like in the previous case to all the data values that are available in the series. You are trying to raise it to the power of 2 by applying it to only the selected index values. Okay, so you are doing that. And when you click, now when you execute this, when you execute this, you can see that this operation is applied only to Nancy's data value and Eric's data value, right? Nancy initially it was 300, now it is raised to the power of 2, means it's squared and you will get 90,000, and 500 becomes 2,50,000, right? This is how you apply operations on a series that is created under pandas. Now, under this pandas library, you have another data structure and very useful data structure under this library, which is called as data frame. Right now, collection of all the series will make a data frame. You know that collection of all one-dimensional arrays will make two-dimensional array, right? In the same way, collection of all the series will make a data frame. Now here you are creating two data series. In this case, you are creating two series with row name 1 and another row name 2. For this, you're just creating the series and storing it in D first, and then converting it to a data frame, right? So how you create a series here? By taking the data and the index values. In the initial stage, when you're creating a single series, you take the data and the index values. And remember, these mentioning of data and index is optional. You can directly mention the data values followed by index values. But in order to give a clear picture of usage, you're just using data and index. Okay? And now, when you're trying to create a data frame, first you're creating two series separately, taking it as a dictionary. Did you observe the brackets here? You have taken a flower bracket. You have taken it as a dictionary of series, right? And then you have converted that to a data frame, right? You can't directly create a data frame without having the one-dimensional arrays or without having the series, right? So first you're creating the separate values and then you are grouping them into a data frame. Now you have created a dictionary with row 1 and row 2 with index values apple, ball and clock. Again apple, ball, Cyril and Dancy with corresponding data values. Okay. Now you are taking that dictionary and passing it as a parameter to data frame. Okay, data frame is a function under Pandas library which will make you to convert various data structures into data frames. Okay, here you are converting a dictionary into data frame. So let us execute this and see how this data frame is displayed. Now see, the data frame has column values 1 and 2. As we created the key here, 1 associated series and 2 and its associated series, right? So these apple, ball, Cyril, clock, Dancy, all these are the index values that we have used here. Okay, so these are all the index values and you have these data values under these columns 1 and 2. Now under 1, what did you get? 100, 200 and Cyril is not a key. Observe this carefully. We are combining two series in which for certain index values you don't have corresponding data values. When you're combining, for Cyril, you observe this, for Cyril in column 1 you don't have any index. You have only apple, ball and clock, right? So for Cyril, it will assign a not a number value automatically. It is assigning not a number value automatically to Cyril. But its corresponding value in 2 is 333. Okay, so that is displayed. Again for clock, you don't have any value under column 2. Clock has corresponding value in column 1. It doesn't have any value in 2. That is why it assigns not a number. And under Dancy, it gives NAN and 4440. Right? This is how a data frame is created. Now, if you want to know all the index values in the data frame, you can just give df.index. Right? This df.index will help you to get all the index values in your data frame. Sometimes the indexes can be just the row numbers. In such cases, you will get only the numbers. In this case, you are getting only the index values as we have provided them as a string. Apple, ball, Cyril, clock and Dancy. Right? These are all the index values. Now, if you want to know only the column values in a data frame, say when you are trying to pre-process your data, you want to know what are all the columns available, and in those columns you may not be interested in some columns to process or analyze. In such cases, you may want to drop those columns, right? In order to drop some columns, first you should know what are the columns available in the data frame. For that, you have to give df.columns. Okay, so what are the columns available in this data frame? 1 and 2. Okay, now if you want to get the data values under this particular index, Dancy, ball and apple, okay, that values can be fetched from the dictionary. This is the dictionary we created here. This is the dictionary created. From that dictionary, you are getting the index values for Dancy, ball and apple. Okay, and displaying it as a data frame. Right? So that is what you're using here. You're giving the data frame function here so that that dictionary values can be displayed in the form of a data frame. So you're now able to print that dictionary in the form of a data frame. Got it? Now, if you want to print some extra columns, say if you want to assign some columns like 2 and 5, in such case, sorry, 2 is already available, you are trying to assign 5. Now, when you give this, 5 will be assigned, but you haven't supplied any data values for that column. That is why it assigns NaN. PD dot data frame. You are taking the dictionary. From this, you want the index data values for the indexes Dancy, Ball, and Apple under the columns 2 and 5. This kind of queries will, one second. This kind of queries will help you to select specific columns and display it. And in this case, you are selecting column 2, and you are also trying to print column 5, which is not available, but you want it to be displayed. In such cases, it will assign the column to the data frame, but it will give all not a number values under that. Okay. Now, if you want to create data frame from list of Python dictionaries, now how can you do that? First, you create the dictionary, list of dictionaries. List of dictionary means collection of dictionaries. You have not a single dictionary here, but multiple dictionaries. In the first dictionary, you have Alex and Joe. In the second dictionary, you have Emma, Dora, and Alice. Now, these two dictionaries, you are storing it in a list called as data. Now this data you are converting into a data frame. Now let us see how it is rendered in the output. So you can notice here that Alex, Joe, Emma, Dora, and Elise, they are taken as the column values, and their corresponding values are taken as the data values here with default indexing 0 and 1. Understand here, we haven't provided any index values like in previous case. In the previous case, you have provided the index values, Dancy, Ball, and Apple. But in this case, you haven't provided any index values. So you get the default index numbers 0 and 1 given by Pandas itself, Pandas data frame itself. Okay, so all the keys in the dictionary are taken as column values, and their corresponding values will be taken as the data values. And if any value is missing because of two dictionaries being combined, if the keys doesn't have corresponding values in the other dictionary, then they'll be embedded with NaN, not a number. Now, if you want to add, instead of the index values 0, 1, if you want to give explicitly some index value, in such case, you can give it as data and specify the index. Here you are giving the index as orange and red. So that orange and red will be displayed here instead of default numbers 0 and 1. If you want to add some, if you want to get some column values, only specified column values, then you can take the values in the columns parameter. In the columns parameter, you can specify whatever column values you are interested in to view. You are here interested to view only Joe, Dora, and Elise. So only those values are fetched into your output. Got it? This is how we need to work with data frames. Now let us see some basic data frame operations. Let us see what is the data frame that is available with some index values and two columns, 1 and 2, along with their corresponding data values. Now, if you want to fetch only the column values of 1, then you can give df of 1, which will give us only one column values. Okay, so these are all the column values along with its index numbers. Along with its index values. Here you have provided index values. You are not taking the default values 0, 1, 2, 3. you have provided the index values while creating the data frame. So you get those values for column 1. Now, if you want to perform some operation like, say you have employee data set. Now in that employee data set, you want to calculate the gross salary by taking the basic multiplied with some DA or TA, right? So you have to perform operation on 2 different column values at a time. In such cases, you can use those columns as operands and provide the required operation between them. You can observe this. This is the simplest operation we are performing here. DF1, you are taking column 1 and you are multiplying it with column 2 to form the new column 3. It is very easy to add new columns into the data set and embed it with some values, some calculated values. It can be very easily done in this data frames. So what you're doing here, you're multiplying column 1 and 2 and those values are being embedded into a new column 3. Now you can see what is the column 1 value for Apple, 100, and column 2 value 111. So those two are multiplied and you get the last column value. But if you have not a number value, in such cases, though not a number is multiplied with a numerical value, you still get not a number because it is not defined. Its data type is not defined, right? There is no value available to it. In such cases, if any value multiplied with an unknown value will also be unknown value, right? So that is mentioned here. Not a number multiplied with this column 2 value will give you NaN. Did you understand this operation? You are creating a column, new column 3, and for that you are embedding it with values of column 1 multiplied by column 2. Now, if you want to know if any of the values in a column are greater than a particular value or less than a particular value, if you want to perform some relational operation on some column values, in such cases, you can use like this. Get the column values, df of 1 will fetch the column values and they will be compared with the value 250, and if at all they are greater than that value, only those values will be taken into the flag, right? You can see now, what does this new column flag contain? DF of 1 means this value 100. Is it greater than 250? No. So it is embedded with false. Now 200 is greater than 250. It is treated as false. Now NaN, you can't apply any relational operation here. So it is treated as false. But you can see here 300. In the first column, you take 300 and that value is compared with 250. As it is greater than 250. So it will flag column will be embedded with true. Got it? This is how you can perform various operations on columns of a data set or a data frame. Now, if you want to delete a particular column, you can use pop, df.pop, and that value when you're popping, when you're deleting, you can still save it in another variable. Now here we are trying to pop column 3 and print it. What column is popped? Notice here this column. This column 3 is popped out from the data frame, right? So what are those popped values? If you want to see, you can just display that 3. Okay, it displays all the popped values. Now when you display the data frame, you can see that the third column stands deleted, right? Only 1, 2. Here you have 1, 2, 3 and flag, but here you have popped out one column. You have deleted one column. So you get 1, 2 and flag, right? Now, if you want to delete without using pop, still you have another command for that by using del df2. Delete the data column 2 from the data frame. So when you do that, that value will not be saved anywhere. Pop will return the deleted column values, whereas del will not return any values. It just deletes the column from the data frame. So when you display the data frame, you can see that 2 is deleted from the data frame. Right? Now, if you want to insert any column, one way of creating a column is directly assigning that column to the data frame that we have seen here. We have seen here. If you want to create a new column, you can create it by passing the columns to the data frame. Another way is by using insert. Insert will help us to insert a column into a data frame at a specified location. Okay, here we are inserting the new column. Here we are inserting new column by the name copy of 1 at the second location. And what data should it contain? Again, we are passing all the values of df1 itself. So you are just creating a new column out of the existing column as a copy. For that, you are using insert. Insert will take 3 parameters. What are those 3 parameters? The location at which the column has to be inserted, the new column's name, and from which column the data has to be taken. Or you can take a new array also. You can create a separate array and use that array to input the values into the data frame. Now when you execute this, you can see copy of 1 is created, same as this one column when the copy of that column is created and it is displayed. Got it? Now, if you want to create a new column as part of the existing column, not the complete column, you don't want the complete column, you want only a specific part of it. In such cases, you can create a new column, yes, and how that column should be, with what values that column should be embedded? It should be embedded with df1. From the column 1, you are slicing it and taking the part of it. Means only the first half you are taking. All the row values, first half. Okay, you're applying the slicing operation here. So only the 0, 1 values will be taken and embedded into this new column, and rest all values will be NaN itself. Let us display and see. Observe this carefully. A new column is created, one upper half, and what values does it contain? It contains the one column's first 2 values, 0 and 1 values. You know how slicing is performed, right? If you give column 2, it starts from 0 up to 1. 2 is not considered. Okay? So that values 100 and 200 are taken, and rest all values are NaNs. They are embedded with NaNs. Okay, these are various operations you can perform on this data frame. You can take a 5-minute break and come back so that we can start with the case study movie data analysis. This is somewhat interesting. You will find it interesting because it has some movie ratings, movie IDs, how many users have given what kind of rating to a particular movie, and what genre movie the users are interested in, based on the ratings they have given. That kind of analysis we can make on this data set. So you can take a 5-minute break. Now it is 10:25. You can come back by 10:30. We'll start with this, and by 11:30 we'll conclude. Okay, students, we'll start. Now let us see how to take an open data set that may be available online, download it, and work with it. For this case, we are taking a movie data set which is available in a .csv format. Generally, data sets will be available as .csv, .tst, .pajek, txt. Lot of extensions are available. .tsv is tab separated values. .txt is a text value, text file. .pajek or .net will be in the they are like network data sets where you will get social network data, and .csv are comma separated values. Right, comma separated values are little easy to pre-process. Easy to pre-process in the sense we have them in the form of rows and columns. So further pre-processing has to be done on that, but initially to download it and work with it will be easier for us. Okay, so here we have three CSV files under this movie database. They are movies.csv, which has the movies data, tags.csv, which has the tags given for those movies, and ratings.csv, which has ratings given by users to those movies, right? So if we take this movies.csv first, let us bring it into our Jupyter notebook. For that, you are using, 1 second, students, let me take this. Okay, students, so we take this read underscore CSV in order to get the .csv file into your local data frame. Okay, so movies we are taking as a data frame object. Understand this carefully. I'm calling this variable movies as a data frame object. Okay, so you are trying to read some data frame in the form of rows and columns into this object, which is of the type data frame. Okay, that is why when you display type of the movies variable, you can notice that it is given as panda score frame data frame, right? So you are taking this into, you are taking the data set by using read underscore CSV method by giving the path where it is available on your computer. Okay, you have to download this movie lens data set in which you have three .csv files, and where exactly they are stored on your computer, that path you have to give to locate the file and bring it into the scope of your Jupyter notebook. Okay, And do not forget to give separator equal to comma. Because we are working with comma separated value, you have to give the separator SEP argument equal to, you have to specify comma in single quotes. Okay, so that will fetch your movies.csv into your local data frame object movies. Now when you take movies.head, that will display top 5 elements by using the head function. Okay, head function is available under pandas library, which will fetch you the top 5 rows or top 5 data points in the data in that particular data frame. If you want to get the last 5 elements or last 5 data points, then you can use movies.tail. Okay, movies.head. If you execute, you can see that the first 5 data points are obtained. Right? From this, you can notice what are the columns that are available in this data frame. What are the columns that are available? Movie ID, a unique ID to locate the movie, title of the movie along with the year in which it is released, and genre of the movie. Right? Some movies are given multiple genres. You can see the Toy Stories, adventure, animation, children, comedy, fantasy, lot of genres are given. Whereas Jumanji, it is given as adventure, children, and fantasy, like this, right? To which genre it belongs to. In the same way, we can download tags.csv, which has user ID, movie ID. Here we doesn't have movie name. But in order to get the tag for a movie, you can merge the previous data set with this data set because movie ID is common in both of them, right? That is how you can perform merging of the data sets also. So let us first see what columns are available in this tags.csv. User ID, movie ID, tag given for that movie, and the timestamp at which the tag is given. Tag is something like a comment, right? Comment given for that, some tag associated with that movie, right? For that, if we take some values, first 5 data points, you can see the values for them. In the same way, you can also get the ratings.csv file into Jupyter Notebook. And what columns does it contain? User ID, movie ID, rating given by the user for that movie, and at what timestamp that rating is given. Now observe here, timestamp has some value in milliseconds. We doesn't have it in a meaningful type, right? We have it as simply milliseconds calculated from Jan 1, 1971, but not as a meaningful value. So we'll see as part of this session how to convert this into a meaningful date and time. Now, at present, we can't get any meaningful results by analyzing the timestamp, right? So let us delete timestamp column from ratings table as well as tags table, right? In this tags table, we have timestamp. In this ratings table, you have timestamp. Let us delete both of them. Later, we'll see how to convert this timestamp into a meaningful date time. At present, we don't want, we are not interested in analyzing it. Now, let us see how we can extract some rows or columns in which we are interested in. Now, let us see how to take a particular row value, a particular I location value by using series operations. In series, while understanding about series, you understood about what does I location fetch. I location will fetch the data value in that index location, right? So if you take tags dot I location 0, in the 0th index value, whatever is the value that you're fetching into row underscore 0 and trying to print its data type first. Let us see the value in it later. Let us first understand what type of data it is. It is a series data type, right? It is a series data type. As I told you, single dimensional arrays, if you take many of them, it can form multi-dimensional arrays. In the same way, if you take multiple series, means multiple rows, they form multi-dimensional data frames, right? In this case, each row is considered in this data frame as a series. Now, collection of all those series will form this data frame for us. To understand that, we have just given type of row. It will give the type of row as series. Now, let us see what is fetched into this row underscore 0. What did we take here? In the tags data frame, get the index location zeros values. Okay, so what are the index location zeros values? What are the index location zeros values here in the tags table? This one. This is the zero. This is the zero location index locations values. User ID 15, movie ID 339, and tag Sandra Boring Bullock, right? So that value is fetched here. User ID 15, movie ID 339, and tag given for that movie. Okay, so using iLocation, you will be able to access each of the rows separately as a series. Okay, to make you understand this, we have just displayed here the type of that data that is fetched. It is a series. Now, if you want to get the row index values from this row 0, what are the index values? User ID, movie ID, tag along with timestamp, right? Those are displayed here. Now, if you want to get user ID's value, only user ID's value, then you can just give from that series. What is the series we fetched into recently? Row underscore 0. Now, from that row underscore 0 series, you want user ID value. When you click that, you will get this user ID value as 15. Now, you are trying to see whether rating index exists in this series. You know how to do that by using the clause in. So, rating in this row, does it exist? Yes, it exists. Rating is not given here, right? So, it doesn't exist. Rating is not given in this index, I'm sorry. So it doesn't give as true. Only user ID, movie ID, tag and timestamp exists in this series. That is why rating doesn't exist, so it gives false. Now if you want to get row that particular series name, you can give it as row.name. Now that series is having the index number. See here, the index number. For this particular series that is fetched, what is the index number? 0, right? That index number is fetched here. Row underscore 0's name. What is the name of that data point? The name of the data point here is 0. Now, if you want to rename, instead of taking the default values for the data points 0, 1, 2, 3, you are renaming them with some meaningful value. Say here, you are renaming it as first row. So you take row underscore 0, rename first row, that you are storing it in the series and getting the series name now. It will be displayed as first row instead of 0. Okay, this is how you can rename the rows. Now, if you want to get the first 5 data points in tags data frame, they'll be displayed. And if you give tags.index, it will give you the index values. It starts from 0 and it stops at 1296. Means you have total 1296 rows in this data frame. 1296 rows you have in this data frame, means 1296 data points you have in this data frame. Entries, number of entries in this tags data frame, right? So if you want to know the columns, you can give it as tags.columns. What are the columns you have? User ID, movie ID, tag and timestamp. Now if you want to get exact rows, you're not interested to view all the rows. If you want to know a specific location row values, then you can give tags.iLocation. You are specifying the index number 0, 11 and 200. So you can see 0, 11 and 200 values displayed. Now we are coming to the very important concept of data analysis, that is understanding the characteristics of the data. Now the characteristics of the data or properties of the data can be understood by descriptive statistics. What are descriptive statistics? Mean, median, average, standard deviation, all these are called as descriptive statistics. Mean will tell us what is the average value that is in the data set. Minimum, maximum or standard deviation. Standard deviation will tell us about the spread in the data. Variance will tell us about the spread in the data. Means if you have 1 to 1 crore very sparse values, very less number of values between 1 and 1 crore, then we say that the variance in the data is very high. But if you have many values between 1 and 5, in such cases we tell that the variance is very less in the data. Okay, so you can understand from the descriptive statistics about the spread of the data and properties of various other preliminary properties of the data. Now if you take describe will give you the 5-point statistic, the 5-point summary. Here you get the details about mean, standard deviation, minimum and the percentile values and the maximum, right? Mean 1, standard deviation 2, minimum 3 and the quartile distribution, all these 3 values 4 and this maximum 5. That is why these 5 details will be called as they are generally called as 5-point summary, right? These will help us to know in this particular ratings data frame, under ratings, what is the distribution of the data. So what is the mean value of the ratings, of all the ratings given? Total how many ratings are given? That will be known from the count. Total 1,04,000 ratings are given. Right? Now, from that 1,04,000 ratings, what is the mean value? 3.5. What is the standard deviation? There is not much deviation. The standard deviation from the mean value is 1.05. Okay? And the minimum value is, minimum rating given is 0.5 and the maximum rating given is 5. Yes, they are in acceptable range. And 25% of the values lie below the rating 3. 50% of the values lie below rating 4. 75% of the values lie below rating 4. Right? So most of the ratings, most of the rating that is given is 4 here. Okay? Out of a scale of 0 to 5, most of the people have given rating 4. That is why 75% of the values lie below 4. Got it? And this is how you get descriptive statistics for a specific column. But if you want descriptive statistics for all the column values, then you can give the data frame name dot describe, which will give you all the values. But in this case, descriptive statistics about a user ID is meaningless, right? User ID is just an identification. It is a unique identification code which doesn't have any numerical value. In such cases, there is no meaning in finding out the descriptive statistics or mean or median of user IDs. It is meaningless. So just to show you how you may go wrong in some cases. You can't simply take the data frame and get the descriptive statistics on the entire data frame. You have to select the columns which has numerical values, and only for those values you have to get the descriptive statistics. Even you can see here movie ID. Movie ID is also a unique identification value. For that you can't calculate any mean, median or percentile values, right? So they are all meaningless. So you have to select a particular column on which you want to get the descriptive statistics, or set of columns on which you want these values, mean, median, and other values. Now, if you want to get the mean of a particular column, you can do that by just giving the column name of the data frame dot mean. Okay, this is already displayed here. Did you see? Descriptive statistics will give set of all the values, but if you want them separately, then you can get it as separate functions by using separate functions. Mean. Again, you can see here user ID, movie ID's mean is not meaningful. So it is not a good thing to use it on the entire data frame. Now, if you want the minimum value of the rating column, yes, you got it through MIN. And if you want the maximum, you get it through max function. And if you want the standard deviation, you get it through STD function. If you want the mode will not be available in your 5-point summary. Remember, students, this they'll ask in interviews also, which is the statistical measure that you won't get through the 5-point summary or by using the describe method of the data frame. That is the mode function. Okay, so if you want mode separately, you can use dot mode function. When you give that, you can see that most of the ratings are given as 4. Okay, mode gives us most frequently used value, right? So here the mode is 4. Now, if you want to get the correlation means when some value increases, if any other value is also increasing at the same rate, it is called as positive correlation. If some value is increasing and correspondingly other value is decreasing, then it is called as negative correlation. Right? Correlation value stands between -1 and +1. Minus values indicate negative correlation, means if there are two parameters x, y, if x is increasing, y is decreasing, then it is called as negative correlation, and their correlation value will be towards -1. But if you take again two parameters x, y, if x is increasing and y is also increasing, then we call it as positive correlation and their value tends towards +1. And I have given an example for you in big data analytics for this. If the student, so the time spent by student in studying increases, his marks also are increasing, then it is a positive correlation. Now, if time spent by student on TV is increasing and his marks are decreasing, then it is called as negative correlation, right? You're able to recollect that? So that is the significance of correlation. It tells us which two parameters are strongly correlated or negatively correlated, or there is no correlation at all, right? Now, in this case, you should not focus on the diagonal elements. Diagonal elements is correlation within itself, with itself. Okay, user ID is correlation with user ID. That is meaningless. Okay, so other values you try to focus. Here, there is no correlation between user ID and movie ID because they are just IDs. They doesn't have any numerical significance, right? But if you take here. Again, rating and user ID. Can you establish any correlation between it? Between them? No, it is not meaningful again. And rating with movie ID? They are not meaningful correlations. So correlations, when you are using a correlation measure, you should be very cautious. You should use them only between numerical values, which has some numerical significance. Only between them you have to use. Here we are using correlation, but it is meaningless completely between all these parameters that we have, between all these features or columns that we have. So it is not useful to use the correlation measure here, but we'll see later in the session. Somewhere it will be useful where we use it between two numerical values, right? So just to see where you may fall into a trap of using this correlation measure, I have shown you this one. And now if you want to filter out some values, say all the ratings that are greater than 5. You know how to use filters also. You have learned it in the previous VSC classes. Now if you want to filter out all the values that are greater than 5, you're creating a filter for it. All the rating values greater than 5, you're creating a filter for it, and just you're printing that filter and checking if there are any values that are greater than 5. What does this indicate? Can any of you tell me? Students, you want to know if there are any ratings, that's why I'm using any method here, any ratings that are greater than 5. Can anyone tell what is the significance of this filter? I can understand from this filter that no ratings are given greater than the value 5. Means all the ratings are given within the scale that is mentioned. That is within 5 itself. So when you give any, it just gives false. See here? This is printing all the filter values. That is not useful for us, just for understanding what does a filter contain we have given. But see this is important for us. It gives filter 1 any means if any of the values are true. No, none of the values are true, so it is given as false. If any of the values is true, then it indicates that there are some ratings that are greater than 5, which is not acceptable because the rating scale is from 0 to 5. In that case, we can check it with any. If all the values of ratings are correctly taken or not, correctly given or not. For that, you can check filter.any. Now it will seem to you like a simple function, but this has utmost importance when you are doing the pre-processing task. Students, any and all are little confusing functions, but they prove to be very, very handy for you whenever you are pre-processing the data set. Okay. So try to understand this carefully. Filter.any is giving false, so none of the ratings are greater than 5. Now again you take another filter greater than 0 and you are giving all. Now what you are attempting to find? In this rating column, are there any values that are greater than 0, or all the values greater than 0? Not are there any values. Here the question will be like this. Are there any values that are greater than 5? No, there are no values greater than 5. Now the question turns into a different manner. Are all the values greater than 0? This is the question you are posing here. Are all the values greater than 0? That is why you are using the function all. Now when you give filter 2.all, if all the values are greater than 0, it gives true. If any of those values are not greater than 0, if there are some negative values, it is a wrong rating that is given. For that it gives false. Now here all the ratings are given greater than 0 itself. So you came to a conclusion that all the ratings are within the scale 0 and 5. All the ratings given for movies are within the scale 0 and 5 because there are no values greater than 0 and there are no values greater than there are all values greater than 0 and there are no values greater than 5. That indicates they are within the given range of ratings 0 to 5. Now you're trying to perform some data cleaning. Data cleaning means handling the missing values. If there are any missing values, then how to handle them, how to remove them. Remember again, when you have missing values, if there are too many missing values under a column, you better remove the column. If there are too many missing values under a particular row, then you have to remove the row, not the entire column. Okay, so you have to have a discretion here, which column to remove or which row to remove, because data is very important to any data analyst. You should not simply lose the data in the form of rows or columns. So you have to take a decision, very important decision, about removing the data when data is not available in that particular columns or rows. If the data is missing, then you have to carefully treat that. Now, for movies dataset, we are getting the shape of the dataset. What do you mean by shape? It gives you the number of rows and columns. Movies.shape here gives you how many rows you have in that movies dataset, 9125, and how many columns you have in that. There are 3 columns. Now, if you want to know if there are any missing values, you can see, you can get that by using is null.any. From the movies data frame, are there any null values? Are there any null values? Are there any null values? For that, you are using this any method. Now it displays under movie ID, there are no null values, false. In title, there are no null values. Under genres, there are no null values. Means there are no missing values under movies data frame. How easy it is now. You understood the significance, you understood the importance of this any method. With a simple command, you are able to find out whether there are any missing values in this entire data frame. Okay. Now let us see under shape. Let us see under ratings data frame also. Yes, ratings has 104 data points with 4 columns, and none of those values are missing. That is why any of the values are missing. You are trying to find out any of the values are null. No, none of the values are null. Now same thing you check with tags table also. Now in this, any of the data frame columns are null or data points are null? No, you don't have any null values. So what do you, if at all there are null values, see this is a very ideal condition where there are no null values in the data set given to us. But if there are any null values, what is the alternative? You can drop it by using drop NA method. You can use it by, you can do it, you can drop that particular value by using drop NA method. Tags dot drop NA, if you do, it will drop all the missing values. Now when you, because you don't have any missing values, you can't notice any change. Okay, but that is the alternative. We have to drop the missing values. Now, if you want to visualize the data, okay, now if you have data visualize, and if you want to visualize the data, then you have to get the matplotlib inline. You have to get the matplotlib method library inline into your Jupyter notebook. For that, you are using a magic function. This is called as magic function. It is preceded with percentage symbol. Okay, so using this percentage symbol, you are bringing your matplotlib inline in order to perform some data visualization on your data frame. Now, if you want to know the spread of the data, you can do that by using histogram. Histogram is a data visualization method where you will be able to understand the spread of the data. Okay, so you are using on the ratings table, you are using the histogram visualization method to visualize the data in the column rating and you are reserving a figure size 15 rows and 10 columns for this particular graph. So when you execute this, you can see the figure size. You can reduce the figure size also. You can just make it as 5, 5. Then you will get a smaller histogram, right? So you are taking the rating column from the ratings table. You are taking the rating column from the ratings table and you are plotting a histogram on that data. Now from this histogram, what you can understand, you can see that most of the ratings are given as 4. On the x-axis you have ratings and on the y-axis you have how many ratings are given. Okay, so on the 4 rating is given by nearly 27,000 people and 5 rating is given around by 15,000 people and 3 rating is given by 20,000 people. Now rather than going through 1 lakh data points, you are able to get to some initial conclusion that 4 is the most rating given by the users, right? So this kind of preliminary idea, initial idea, you'll get about your data by descriptive statistics and by using the visualization techniques. Okay. Now, if you give a box plot on the ratings column, if you plot a box plot, let us see what will be displayed. Now you can see here box plot will tell us what are the this spread in the data. It tells us about the spread in the data. You can see that mean is somewhere around here. This green line in the graph, that is taken as the mean, and these endpoints, they are taken as the extreme and the maximum values within which most of the values are spread. But you can see the points here, these black points, these are the extreme values, means something like outliers. They are very rarely movies are given this rating, lesser than 1.5. Most of the ratings fall between 1.5 and 5. That is how we need to, how we can understand about spread in the ratings column. Okay, spread in the values between 0 and 5. Here we have most of the values falling between 1.5 and 5 and very less number of values falling as 1 or lesser than 1 rating. They may be treated as outliers because most of the values are spread within this range itself. Now, if you want to slice out some columns, if you want to prefer analyzing only some columns, you can do that by getting a specific column values. In this movies, you have other columns also, but you are interested only in the title of the movie and genre of the movie. You can get that by specifying only those columns, but within double brackets, okay, to indicate the column names. Now, if you want last 10 values, you can do that by giving -10 index, -10 to up to 10 values in the reverse direction. Means all the tail values, tail 10 records will be displayed. Okay, that is what is seen here. Now, if you want to filter, if you want to apply filters for selecting the rows, you can do that by giving relational operations. Here you can see on the rating column, you are applying a filter of greater than 4. Means you are interested only in the movies which are having ratings greater than 4. Say you want to spend your vacation at home by watching only highly rated movies. Then immediately you can access this database and filter out some movies which are given only highest rating, are greater than 4. So how you do that? Ratings column you take from the ratings table, greater than 4, You put that filter into is highly rated. Now apply that highly rated filter on the ratings table, on the ratings data frame. On the ratings data frame, you are interested in only highly rated movies, and from those highly rated movies, you just get some row data points to see what are the highly rated movies. Okay, so when I execute this command, I get only highly rated movies. See, you can observe all the ratings given here are greater than 4. Okay, from those you are just trying to get some values to see whether they are fetched properly or not, whether the filter is applied properly or not. Yes, the filter is applied properly. You got all the movie IDs which has rating greater than 4. But what is the use for us? Can you understand what is the movie name from the movie ID? No, it is very complex, right? Because you don't have in the rating table movie names. In such cases, you have to merge the movie and the rating table. I'll show you how to do that in the later commands. Now, in this case, if you want to get only the animation movies, so that you want to suggest that list to your brothers or sisters to make them watch animation movies in the vacation time. In such cases, you take the movies genres column, and if that genres column, if that string contains animation, if that genres are many, right? Animation, comedy, horror, family, drama, a lot of genres are given. But if you just wanted to know if the genre is animation, in that case, take the genres column, and whether that string contains animation, that filter you are taking as is animation. Now, when you take is animation and get the movies list, you can see here. See, all the titles, all the movies whose genre contains animation. See, this contains animation, this contains animation, this contains animation, right? All such movies are fetched by using this filter is animation. Swan Princess, Lion King, Secret Adventures of Tom Thumb. All these movies are animated movies. Okay, that is how you can apply filters on the data sets. Now, if you want to get the first um, top movies, sorry, first 15 movies, which has animation as the genre. You can get that by using head. Okay, these are all the animated movies. Now, you can perform group by as you do it in your DBMS. It is very useful aggregation function, right? If you want to count something with respect to something, then you can use this group by aggregate function. Now you can see here, you have to take the two columns in which you are interested in. Now in this case, from the ratings table, from the ratings data frame, you are interested in movie IDs and their ratings given. So you wanted to know for a particular movie, what is the average rating given, because many people give lot of ratings. Some people give very high rating, some people give very low rating, but you want to know the critical rating, you want to know the average rating given for a particular movie. In that case, you can use first get the movie ID and rating and apply the group by movie ID. Means keep the movie ID constant and get all the ratings for that movie ID and find the mean of it and get it as the average rating given for that movie. You understand very well what is group by operation, right? What does group by operation do? It freezes one column, and with respect to that column, it counts all the other column occurrences and finds the average of those occurrences here, because we are giving mean. But you can apply any other aggregate function also. Okay, in this case you are using ratings movie ID rating group by movie ID and get mean of all the ratings. That will give you the average rating. Now you can see for movie ID, what is the average rating? 3.8. Movie ID 3, what is the average rating? 3.16. So in these 5 movies, what is the worst movie? with movie ID 4. What is the best movie with movie ID 1? That is how we can understand, right? Now, if you do count on the movie IDs, means if you want to know how many ratings are given for each movie, because some movies may be highly rated, rated by more number of people. Some movies may be rated by less number of people. How do you know that? You can calculate the number of ratings given for movie ID by grouping by the movie ID and counting the number of ratings given for that movie ID. When you click this, you can see here first movie is rated by 247 users, second movie is rated by 107 users, and fourth movie you can see it is rated by only 13 users. So you can see that though fourth movie is rated by less number of users, it received very less rating. Whereas first movie is rated by more number of users and it is acclaimed, it is applauded by more number of people. It is appreciated by more number of people because it got 3.8 rating. Okay, that is how you can infer some conclusions out of this analysis that you are performing. And here also you can see last movie tail records of this movie count. You can see all the worstly rated, less rated movies. All these movies are less rated. Only one user have done the rating, have given the rating. Now, how do you merge two data frames? If you want to say movie ID is available with rating, but movie name is not available. Movie name is available with movie data frame, whereas rating is available with rating data frame. Now, if you want to get the movie name for which a specific rating is given, then you may have to merge those two data frames. In this case, let us see, here you are taking the tags data frame which has the tag given for a movie, but you don't know the movie name. So you get the movies data frame also. Now, if you want to merge these two, what is the common column that you have to merge them? Movie ID. Movie ID in tags data frame and movie ID in movies data frame. They are common to both the data frames. So you can rely your join operation on this particular column. Okay, so you're using movies, you're merging movies data frame with tags data frame by using dot merge method. Movies dot merge, you're merging it with tags data frame on which column? Movie ID column. And what type of join you're performing? Inner join, and that you're storing in a new data frame with the name T. Now display the top 5 data points. Now you can see that the genre data, the tag data are associated with the movie name. Now you have what tag is associated with which movie. Yes, Pixar movies tag is associated with Toy Story. Crime tag is associated with 7 movie. Like that you can get the details. Initially they are available in 2 different data frames, but now you are trying to merge them and get the details. When all the details are not available in a single data frame, you need to merge the data frames and get the details. Now what you're doing in this case, you're trying to perform some aggregation operation combined with merging of the data frames and applying filters to get some useful analytics. Let us see what we are doing. In this case, you are grouping by the movie ID and getting the mean of all the ratings, which you are saving in average ratings. Okay, and that you are trying to display. And observe, we have deleted the user ID column also. Why we are deleting this? Average of user ID is meaningless, right? We can't infer anything by calculating identification string average, right? So you're just trying to delete that user ID column and display the rest of the values. Now, this average ratings data frame has the movie ID and their average rating given for those movie IDs. Okay. Now, if you want to know the box office hits, then you just find out the average ratings initially and combine them with the movies data frame to get what are all the movies that got good average rating. Means you wanted to know the box office hits among the movies so that you can add to your watch list. So what you do here, movies data frame, you're merging with the average ratings data frame. What does your average ratings data frame contain? Movie ID and its rating. So you will get the movie name for which good rating is given as box office hits. Okay, so you are merging movies with average ratings on movie ID column by performing an inner join, and you're getting the last 10 data points. Now you can see here very clearly for the last brick maker in America, what is the rating given? Average rating 5. And for Rustam, what is the average rating given? 5. For Mohenjo-daro, what is the average rating given? 3. Okay, so you are able to know the rating, average rating of each movie along with the title also. Okay, that is the use of this uh, command. Now, if you want to know the movie names of all the box office hits which are having the rating greater than 4, then create another filter. On the box office, on the rating column, you create a filter greater than 4, all the movies that are highly rated. Now apply that on box office and get the last 5 data points. Now you can see that all the movies data you get in this which are highly rated. All the ratings are, see here, they are highly rated, greater than 4. This is how you can get the details of movies which are box office hits as well as having rating greater than 4. Now, if you want to get only box office hits that are comedy movies, you are not interested to watch some desperate movies during lockdown. You wanted to watch some comedy movies to keep yourself energetic. In such cases, you may want to know what are all the box office hits and the genre is comedy. In such cases, you take the genres from the box office hits, and if the string contains comedy, that filter you are applying on the box office and get the top 5 data points. Now you can see Toy Story, Grumpier Old Man, Waiting to Exhale, Father of the Bride, Sabrina, all these are comedy movies which are highly rated, which are box office hits. Okay, that is how you can extract data by analyzing what kind of data you want. Now you can see here, if you want comedy movies which are box office hits as well as highly rated, in that case you can combine the two filters by using logical and operator. You are using is comedy filter, combining it with is highly rated. You wanted comedy movies which are highly rated and which are also box office hits, then you can use this command. You can get all the movies that are highly rated which are box office hits. Zootopia, Last Days of Emma Blanc, all these are highly rated comedy movies which are also box office hits, right? Now let us see how to perform some vectorized string operations. You have to focus here because these are little complex operations what we are going to see. We have come to end of the session. So students, be patient enough to concentrate here. Okay. Yeah, now we have movies details here that are displayed. Now from this if you want to split the genres so that all the genres doesn't appear in the same column, you want to split them whenever there is a special operator like this pipe symbol that is encountered. In this case, what you do, get from the movies data frame, genres column, and if the string is split by using an operator, by using a symbol pipe, then expand equal to true. So whenever a pipe symbol is encountered, expand this genres column. Let us see, observe the output carefully, what is printed. Now you can notice here, genres column is divided into many different columns. In this case, we have adventure, animation, children, comedy, and fantasy. Now, for that particular zero movie ID, for that movie ID 1, for that movie ID 1, you can take the genre as adventure under the 0th column, as children movie under the 1st column, fantasy under the 2nd column, and no more genres you have. Means what do we understand by this? The genres is split into 9 different columns here. The genres column is split into 9 different columns here, indicating that the maximum number of genres given for a single title is 9. But in this case, we have 3 genres. In this case, we have 5 genres. In this case, only 2 genres. But at most, for some movie in the database, total 9 genres are assigned for a single movie. That is why 9 partitions of this genres column has happened, right? And they are displayed for each of the movie IDs. Got it? For the 0th movie, you have animation, adventure, children, comedy, and fantasy. All split into 5 columns. And these are all split into 3 columns. Right? Like that. You have 9 different genres assigned to the movie. Now, if you want to know a genre contains comedy, that can be taken as 1 column. Movie genre is comedy, that is added as 1 column. And what is the test you perform? In a genres column, if the string contains comedy, yes, this contains string comedy, so it is true. This contains comedy, so it is true. Here it doesn't contain comedy in the 5th row, so it contains false, right? That is how you need to get the separate genres if you want. Now, if you want to extract the year from the title, see, you can notice here that title is embedded in, year is embedded into the title. Toy Story of 1995 and Toy Story of 2005 you have. So if you want to base your analysis on movie released in a particular year, you don't have the year information separately. Year is associated with title itself. So what you can do is get the year separately by using regular expression. Okay, how you do that? On the movies table, on the title column, if the string contains a regular expression, extract it by making the expansion as true. Means you are trying to expand the data frame available. How you are comparing the year? Whatever is embedded between the brackets in the title column, this regular expression is meant by that. Dot, star, slash, preceding can be anything, the title can be anything, but between the brackets, dot, star, whatever you want, that whatever you are interested in, that you are that is available in the brackets in the title, right? And succeeded by anything later, dot, star. Okay, so preceded by anything, succeeded by anything in the title column, whatever is enclosed in the brackets, if you want that one, that you are trying to extract as a new column, movie year. Okay, so execute this and get the last 5 data points. You can see a new column attached here, that is year. Okay, this Mohenjo-daro, it is released in 2016. Year is extracted separately. Shin Godzilla, again the year is extracted separately. Like this, you can get the year value. Say for some movie, if year is not present, it will just assign not a number because that value within brackets is not available for that title. Right? This is how you can extract part of a column value into a different column, so that you can base your analysis on that particular column. Now I can get all the details, all the movies released after 2016, which are box office hits, which are comedy movies that are highly rated. I can get the list automatically. Now if I want the old movies which are released before 2000, which are highly rated but not box office hits. If I want, some classic movies may not be box office hits, right? In such cases, if I want that list, I can get it by framing my query in such a way. Okay, so you can play with the data set in whatever way you want. Whenever you have a data set at hand, put some questions in your mind to ask that data frame and frame your queries, frame your analysis in order to get those answers from the data set. Now, this is your final concept, parsing of the timestamps. Now, we have already seen there is timestamp available in some of the CSV files, which we can't understand, which are not useful for us to analyze. But if you are able to transform it into a meaningful way, it will be easy for you to do that, perform some analysis. I have the path wrongly given. I'll just get the path from the previous command. We want it from the tags table. So let us take it from the tags table, the path. And paste it here. Sometimes if the path is not correct, you may get the wrong you may get an error. And students, if you get error when you execute a cell in this Jupyter notebook, need not understand the entire error, just go to the last line. You will be able to understand what error you have encountered. Okay, that last line is enough for you. Now, if you take all the tag types here, data type of the columns in tags table, you can see that user ID integer, movie ID integer, tag is an object, means some string value, and timestamp is an integer value, right? So this integer value, this timestamp is calculated since midnight as the UTC of January 1, 1970. After 1970, from 1970 January 1, all the time that is lapsed till now, that timestamp will be calculated in milliseconds. Okay, so under this tags, we have this timestamp. Now, if you want to convert this timestamp into date, what do? You use the pandas libraries to date time. You're converting to date time. This tags tables timestamp column, and you're taking the unit as S. You have different units for standard times. Okay, here you're taking the unit as S. Now, when you use this and get the parsed time, get the new time into parsed time, let's see how it is displayed. can see the parsed time here. This is the timestamp, and the parsed time here is given as 29th January 2006, and here the parsed timestamp is time is given as 26th October 2007, along with the date, along with the hours, minutes, and seconds when that rating has been registered. Okay, so for that, what you're doing, PD dot to date time. You're passing what to a date time, the timestamp column of the tags table, and storing it in the parsed time column. That parsed time column will be available for you here. Okay, so for this movie, this user has given the tag Sandra Boring Bullock at this given time. Okay, that is how you need to understand. If you want to know this parsed times data type, it is given as M8NS. It is a time system of time which has various versions. Here it is used as M8NS. Now, based on this parsed time, you can easily select the data you want. Here, from tags table, if the parsed time is greater than 1st February 2015, get all those values. Right? Get all those values. Get all those values into selected rows and print them. How many such values are there? The original from the tags parse time, from the original values, you are taking 1296 values. Here you are taking from the original table, you have 1296 rows and 5 columns. Out of that, you are taking all the movies that are released after this particular date, 1st February 2015. 1 second. Sorry, students. Yeah. Out of 1296 rows and 5 columns, you are able to extract the details of the movies, 435 such movies, which are released after this 1st February 2015. Okay, so that is how parse time will help us. If you want to know the details of some data points after a particular date, after a particular timestamp, you can get that easily by using this, parsing this timestamp into a reasonable time and date. Now, if you want to sort the values by the parsed time, means if you want to sort them in the order in which they released, that also can be done. Now you can see here, all these movies are parsed, are sorted according to the date they are released. See, this first movie is released on 14th January 2006, whereas the last movie 20th February 2006. All the movies that are there in the tags data frame, they are ordered according to the time, according to the parsed time. Okay, in such cases, parsing the timestamp will be useful for us. Okay. So these are all the other commands, same commands what we have done previously. Grouping by movie ID, getting the average ratings, grouping by the year, what are the ratings available for a movie, and plotting it. All these details we have in the commands. Now, if you plot a graph, see, you can see here what are the yearly ratings. In 1998, the rating given is around 3.2, whereas in 2007, the highest rating given is 3.3. Like that, you can plot a line graph to know in which year a particular rating is given as maximum. Okay, these are all the commands you have to analyze the data set and visualize it. Okay, any doubts in this, students? Next Saturday around 9:30 you will be given an assessment, a simple assessment, not very complex one, right? So if you get good marks in the assessment, then you will be given a certificate of completing this value added course, which will be an added advantage for your employment. Okay, during your interviews, recruiters will be attracted by seeing your performance in learning these new courses and all. Okay, so we'll also mention what is the grade obtained by you. So I'll split the marks, your marks into A plus, A and B grades. A plus A, B plus and B grades. So that grade will be mentioned on your certificate based on your performance in the assessment that will be given on Saturday. It will be very simple. Just if you execute this notebook and see, practice it once, all questions will be from the notebook only. But the assessment will have a stipulated time and you have to attempt the exam within that time itself, so that you can't just go on referring to the notebook while writing the exam. In order to ensure that, we'll give a limited time for you to attempt the questions. Okay, student, how did you understand this session? Guria,
Yes, ma'am.
did you understand this well?
Yeah, ma'am.
How did you understand this session? I'm asking.
Good.
You are able to understand? Deepika MB, Pavan Kumar, Manjunath,
Yes, ma'am.
Harshit,
Yes, ma'am.
right. Okay, you can give your attendance on the chat box quickly. I'll note down once the session is ended. Quickly give your attendance on the chat box and you can leave the meeting. Okay, I'll message you on the assessment to be taken on Saturday. All of you have to take the assessment, which will be added to your Big Data Analytics assignment marks. As well as a grade will be given for you on the certificate, on the digital certificate we provide to you. Okay, bye students. You can give your attendance and leave.